Alright, time for another crappy class that doesn't understand anything. Oh! Sorry, you must have seen me in my shorts. Hello there. Welcome to the first day of class of History 127, the first year of the Retro Bowl College Dynasty League history. Please take a seat, and this will be a long one, so be sure to grab a drink, grab some popcorn, grab some Retro Bowl, because scores are due soon. But as we embark on season 27, I wanted to sit down with you guys and give you a lesson on the RBCDL. There are currently 33 OG coaches, including myself, so 33 of us should pass this class with 100%, and no exceptions are being taken on that. If you don't pass with a 100 right now and you're an OG, then get out of my classroom. 2, that means that I have about roughly 110 of y'all to teach the Retro Bowl College Dynasty League history to. There's about 110 of you guys that don't understand where this league was founded from about a year ago, and you don't know the ins and outs of everything. And that's not on your fault. So I understand that this college has been in development for a while now. But being an OG member, I have taken it upon myself to teach you youngins about the Retro Bowl College Dynasty League history. So with that being said, welcome to the first video on the RBCDL Commish YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us. And thank you for attending lecture. There will be a test at the end of this. So, what's that? What's that, Coach Hop? What'd you say? I couldn't hear you. Can you repeat that for me real quick? I'm sorry, what? No, Coach Hop. This class does not have syllabus days. The champ of all people. No, this class does not have syllabus days. We're getting right into the material, so please pull out your notebook and stop looking at me like you're confused driving down the road about to celebrate your victory. This is important business, and no championship ring is going to save you on the RBCDL test. Now, with that being said, please silence your cell phones. If I see any Retro Bowl going on, I will be praising you, just like in the game. Season 1, where it all began. 1 year ago, April 2020, the pandemic was going on. No one knew what to do. Everyone just wanted to be out of the house and be social. Well, we didn't get what we wanted, but we got something else, which was such a blessing in Retro Bowl, which came out earlier that year, but a community. So the RBCDL actually is the partner league to the RBNFL, for those that don't know. Old Commish set up the RBNFL and then left and set up the RBCDL, the college league. So Wisconsin stepped up along with Notre Dame and a few others and took over, I believe Panzers as well, and took over the NFL. So that league, you can credit Panzers and Skull and Wisconsin for all that. And as far as the RBCDL, we can credit our origin to the Old Commish, but we can credit nothing else to that man. Or should I say scammer. Dime time scams. But that's for another video. So, season 1, let's get into it. Again, be sure to take notes. This will be on the final. Looking at you. Iowa State, wake up. I know you're a freaking seasoned veteran, but wake up, bro. Alright, season 1. We had OG Commish in charge. There were no conference tournaments. Everything was new to us. Everyone was posting about their coach, their offensive coordinator, their defensive coordinator. They were sending screenshots out about their team and naming different people after alumnus that may not even play football, like Wake Forest. I know we had Tim Duncan as our head coach. People were dropping branding, new logos, and making H-to-H schedules against each other just out of the blue. There were no conference schedules. There were no assigned H-to-H schedules. They didn't even mean anything. There were no game days yet. There was nothing. It was just a league. We were all joining together, so hyped to play Retro Bowl, and none of us really knew how it was going to work. But we all knew we could swipe. That's one thing that everyone knew, and whether or not everyone did it, it was pretty obvious that if you wanted to be a top player, swiping had to have been involved. But whether you owned up to it or not, that is the truth here as the professor. But feel free to do your own research as well. This is just one side of the story, so any other research or any questions you have, you can always shoot me a DM on Twitter. To get into things, it's a one-man commish running at 130 teams. To put that in perspective, there's about 6 captains for the RBCDL now, and we all manage our own different teams. And those teams usually consist of members between like 3 to 5 members, and some of them, like the scores team, for instance, consist of like 11 or so, one for each conference. So you can imagine that this man had a lot on his plate, and I don't know how he did it, but he was always up at 4 a.m. and we had spreadsheets that were just so old. I don't even have a link to him. I don't even have a link to him. Ty Alabo, Old Oregon. He was our spreadsheet guy, and he worked in coordination with the commish, the OG commish. Well, OG commish and I had a lot of conversations. OG commish was against the CFP. He was against conference tournaments. He was against head-to-head schedules. He was against conference H-to-H. He was against a lot of stuff, mainly because he wanted to control the entire league, all in his hands, and that's what he did. So he had all the power, and he didn't let anyone else even have a snippet of it. So before he left, Season 1 was a great season. It was an astounding season for the RBCDL. Personally, my favorite season, but we'll get into that in a minute. We had 3 teams. We used to have a 40-point club. If you were in the 40-point club, this is how far the league has come. If you were in the 40-point club during the beginning of the RBCDL, you were a baller. We had 12 teams in the 40-point club in Season 1. Only 12 out of 130 could average 40 points a game. That just shows how far the game has come over the year and how far the community has come as well. Only 3 of those are still in the community today. We have myself, Colorado State, and Iowa State. So 3 of those have been commissioners at one point, and 2 are captains now. So all have played their part in growing this league just beyond and all the changes. So shout out to Colorado State and Iowa State. And props to you guys. With that being said, we could get into what happened Season 1. So what happened Season 1, pretty much everyone was having a good time. D came around. We had Derb Street, which also was the OG commish for those that don't know. Yeah, we had a good time. Everyone was in their conference chats until like 2 in the morning. There was a bunch of just random texts at 2 in the morning. I literally had to turn my notifications off on Twitter because I would get spammed all the time. And I always had 99 plus notifications from everyone. And I wasn't even a conference commission this time. I was just a member. So that's how interactive this community was at this time. Yes, my alerts are still off. So if I don't get right back to you, that's probably why. But I was just getting a headache from how interactive this community was. And that really is the foundation for the GOAT community that you guys are. So thank you for sticking around. I know there was a lot of Season 2 vets that barely missed the cutoff. As someone's weed eating right outside. I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep to class here! Disrespectful. So, with that being said, we can get right into the CFP. So the CFP for Season 1 was only a 4-team CFP. There was no H-to-H in the CFP. It was a straight-up point differential, just like if you played another playoff game. There was only 64 teams that were bowl eligible, I believe, not 88 like now. And so it also shifted up, so where 5 and 6 were in the Rose Bowl. So just imagine that, the 5 and 6 seeds now. How many times have we had a 5 and 6 winner? Like Coach Hop, for instance, last year was a 7 seed and he won. So we had 4 teams, 3 teams in the 700s and 1 team in the 900. We had old UTSA, who then quit the league right after in Season 2. We have Utah State, aka San Fran Retro in the NFL League. And we have Colorado State. UTSA was 767, Utah State was 773, and Colorado State was 779. Then at number 1 we have Wake Forest with 937. Whoever that coach was really swiping out of their mind. So if you see that man, slap him for me. But we have Wake, Colorado State, Utah State, and UTSA. UTSA, again, he was having a lot of personal issues. I remember talking to him, and he was, I believe, in the top 4 of 1 through 6 of season 2, but then he just wasn't able to submit anymore. So really just a Megatron moment, honestly. Oh my gosh, bro. Moving on. Utah State, great man, great guy. He dropped a dud in the playoffs. I do remember that. He did not score very good in the playoffs, but he has 3 rings currently in the NFL with San Fran Retro, and so I think the man is more than successful now. And you have Colorado State, who has 2 rings in the RBCDL, and at this point, Colorado State had about 7 tweets on Twitter. Meanwhile, Wake Forest, Retro Big Deeks, if you know, you know, they had about 500 tweets within 2 weeks. So we have the number 1 team has 500 tweets, and the number 2 team has like 7 tweets. Doesn't even retweet the rankings or respond to them or whatever, but we had this clash. Wake Forest had a blackout, and it was pretty much just a swipe fest in the playoffs, I'm sure. Utah State, I believe, ended up having a very low score as they purposefully lost the championship, so that way they could still be on D9. That's one thing. Totally forgot about that. This is dynamic at this point. So everyone's playing on D9 as their hardest difficulty. Some people, for instance, Coastal Carolina, aka Sparty, and even Old Commish are tanking. I remember there also was a tank off between Old Texas A&M, for those that remember, Tamu, and Texas State, I believe. That's in season 2, but it was a tank off. I know Coastal Carolina, people talking about tanking, and there used to be an arch of tanking. You didn't just lose the games, but you would lose by like 1 or by 2, so that way your difficulty would stay at the lowest, but you're also getting touchdowns and leveling up your players and getting CC as much as possible and keeping your fan base up. So really there was an art to tanking, and there were good tankers and there were bad tankers. There were people who were getting like negative 600 and they're just screwing their teams up and their fan base up, and they're getting people who I think finished like negative 20. So this is why later on in like season 3 and season 4, the new commissions had to implement a you cannot be below 0 rule. So if you're ever wondering why that rule was in our rule book, that is why. We were in a tank off per se. So people are just loading up in their Panzers and firing at it. There's a bunch of Berlin Panzers out there. So then we had to put the Pampers on them. I see you, Panzers. Anyways, so yes, they're all on D9. Utah State, I believe, ended up losing that championship, his Retro Bowl endgame, on purpose to stay on D9 for the following season. I believe UTSA and Colorado State and Wake Forest all went for it. Wake Forest ended up winning that year. I don't remember the scores. I do remember it was a swipe fest, and it was like 100 and I don't even know, like 140 to 120 between Wake and Colorado State. I remember they both scored an absurd amount, again, averaging over 40 a game, and I think UTSA scored 119, so he was right there too. And then I believe Utah State scored like 70 or something like that, I believe. So, and also, if you haven't bought an RBCDL shirt yet, please DM at U of M Retro and get in touch with him, and he will set you up with your desires. This is the basic version, but you can customize it however you want. You can even write some stuff on the back, I think, too. But so yes, I forgot to mention Heisman's. I believe Colorado State had a player. Utah State had a player, and then Wake Forest had 2 players. Sage Surratt, the receiver from Wake Forest, won Heisman that year, and that was the first Heisman and first trophy awarded to Wake Forest, the Retro Big Deeks. So, personally, my favorite season again, and I haven't had any success like that on the field since way back when. So with that, Wake Forest caps off an incredible run. I feel so douchey for talking about my own run in that way, going from seed number 1 to seed number 1 to seed number 1 to champion, and blowing everyone out of the waters. No one knew how Wake was doing it. No one knew how Wake was doing it when everyone really knew what was going on. But still, again, these other players up top were swiping left and right, so obviously it still showed some skill, and that the barrier was not even close to being set. as we have now seen with scores being in the 1700s. So imagine that, more than doubling some of these scores and almost doubling the top score from season 1. So thank you guys for attending class today. Hope it was beneficial and you guys learned a lot. Again, sorry there was no syllabus day, but we have a lot of material to cover, so hopefully it wasn't too much. If it is a lot, that's the beauty of these online lectures. You can just go back and watch. And also, again, shoot me any questions. I'm happy to help. And I'm going to go watch number 3 Tennessee baseball clap number 2 Vandy in baseball. So I will see you guys later tonight for our second class of the day, where we will tackle season 2 and see if Wake Forest can get the beloved quadruple crown. The only person with a triple crown, but can he progress it to a quadruple crown? Something tells me I'll CC you there.